My mask? Say, okay, square root formula, yes. So for example, I'm going to say solve for what? X. X squared equals, for example, 16. Okay, now this is an equation. I just want to let you guys know what you're looking at, right? This is a quadratic equation. How do you guys know it's a quadratic equation, by the way? Anybody know? What's the tip off that this is a quadratic? Right? There's one thing. Yeah, the exponent here is what? 2. That's x squared. So the exponent's a 2. That means that this is a quadratic equations now. So let me kind of go back a bit. I'm going to change that color. And I'm going to share with you guys how to solve every quadratic that looks like this, right? So this is what you guys do. Here's what the statement is. Here's what you're going to use. This fact, it's called the square root what? Formula. if x squared equals, there we go, that's equals n. What do you think n stands for? Right, here's x to the second power. And say here's n, here's a number. Oops, I just said it. That just means number. Okay? See what's going on with our sound. The speaker, at least. There we go. So x squared equals a number here, right? So if you have that, then you have x equals plus or minus square root of the what? Number. And I want to really emphasize what this is here. This is called the square root formula. Okay? And this is a way you solve this very special type of quadratic. So if you said, you gave me something like this, right? Here's what you gave me. Copy. Then what this means here is x equals, right? What do I put down? What does the square root formula say I have to put down? You guys have to help me with the fact I gave you. What does it say? No, what does it say over here? Take a look. This is the x. It says x is, right in here, what is x? X is, what does this mean here? What's that? Plus or minus, good. And then what's this? Square root. And what's under the radical? You see that number? 16 goes right in here. So you're going to have to tell me what the square root of 16 is. Huh? Good. You guys know it's 4. Outstanding. There you go. So the x is going to equal plus or minus. Okay, square root of 16, you told me is the number what? 4. You guys okay with that? This is called the square root formula, but we have to know, what does this mean, plus or minus? This is, I'm going to put the phrase here for you guys. We're right here. This phrase means what? Plus or what? Minus. Plus or minus. Now you say plus or minus what number? Well, plus or minus what? This means in one case, x is positive 4, this is the plus. The other case, x is negative 4, this is the what? Minus. I want to emphasize this. You got a plus and you have a minus. There it is. So good morning to all of you guys here. We already got, we got Michelle, good morning. Jose, Fan for Life. Jocelyn. Michelle Avalos, good morning, Luis. And good morning, Karen. So good morning to all the rest of you guys here. So ladies and gentlemen, you just solved, these are your solutions here, okay? X is 4, x is negative 4. These are called solutions. Okay, to the quadratic. These are known as your solutions. And sometimes we put our solutions in set notation, right? We list it 4, comma, negative 4. There's your solutions to your quadratic equation, the equation that you started off with. And so, ladies and gentlemen, you just have to know today this thing, and what do you say? What do you say this is called? What do you guys know? What is it called? Called the what? The square root what? Formula. There you go. That's what it's known as. So I'm going to have you guys do some more. I'm going to say to you guys, solve for x. We're going to have you guys use this formula. Not too hard to do. X squared is 9. Number 2. X squared is 4. Number 3. X squared is, I'm going to say to you, 36. Number 4. X squared is 100. Number 5, x squared is 81. And number 6, x squared is 1. And I'll give you a hint. Use the square root what? Formula. That's a capital R then. For 5? Yeah. Yes. All right, try that out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's see. I want you guys to identify two things, right? X to what power? 2. X to the second power. X to the second power, right? Okay, have you guys identified that? X to the second power, right? And then it equals, this is x squared equals what? 9, 4, 36, 181, and 1. So far, so good? Okay, so what do they want us to use? Use the what? Square root formula. Where is the square root formula? It is right here, ladies and gentlemen. X squared equals a number. What do we say about x? X will be plus or minus the square root of the number. So in each case, here's what you guys want to do. X is plus or minus square root of 9. X will be plus or minus square root of 4. So far, so good? X is plus or minus square root of 36. X is plus or minus square root of 100. X here is plus or minus square root of 81. X is plus or minus square root of 1. So in every one of these cases here, plus or minus square root of the number. Okay, so double check that. And again, I want you guys to be aware, plus or minus, 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 plus or minus. So what does that mean now? You guys ready? X is, what's plus or minus the square root of 9? What's the square root of 9? Good, square root of 9 is 3. Good, you guys had a test on that. What's the square root of 4? Outstanding, square root of 36. Outstanding, square root of 100. Outstanding, square root of 81. Outstanding, square root of 1. Outstanding. So, ladies and gentlemen, this means x here is plus or minus 3. X here is plus or minus 2. Is that right? And then here, x will be plus or minus 6. And then x will be plus or minus what? 10. Here, x will be plus or minus 9, and then x here is plus or minus what? 1. So I want to express this that you must have plus or minus, 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 plus or minus. You must have that. And then I'm going to remark here too, what does it mean? Right? This is what it means. Because you might say, well, what does this mean? It means in one case, x is positive 3, and the other case, x is what? Negative 3. Here, x is positive 2. X is negative 2. And in set builder notation, 3, negative 3, 2, negative 2. Here's the two solutions. All right, you guys okay with that? Here's your two solutions. There it is. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. This is what it means, two solutions. One's positive, one's negative. And that's what you guys are doing. So in every one of these, let me get rid of this. Here, x is positive 6, x is negative 6, x is positive 10, x is negative 10. So we have 6, negative 6, we have 10, negative 10. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. These are the two solutions. 1, 2, 1, 2, and giving your answer in set notation. What do you guys think? Is that okay? Easy? All right, what about this one here? How do you rewrite our solutions? X will be positive 9, and x will be what? Negative 9. So we have 9 comma negative 9. X is positive 1, x is negative 1. 1 comma negative 1. You got two solutions again. There it is. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Is that easy or is that hard? Should we kick it up? Let me have you guys, we're going to kick this up. What if they gave you x squared equals negative 4 now? Right? By the square root formula now. Right? I have x squared here. And then what do I have over here? Negative 4. So this is going to mean x will be plus or minus square root of what? Negative 4. So to remind people, what was also on your test yesterday? Do you guys know why you had your test yesterday with some of these topics? Because isn't this going to be negative 1 times 4, square root of negative 1, square root of 4, I times 2. In other words, we got to replace this with what? 2i, is that right? So x is plus or minus 2i. And what that means, in one case, it's positive 2i, and in the other case, it's negative 2i. So in solution set notation, I just want to remark, you guys can have 2i minus 2i. You can have still two solutions. They're complex. And ladies and gentlemen, complex solutions are also allowed with this. So I want to let you guys know, be on the lookout. Yes. All right. Absolutely, Michelle. You got it. So you can have complex solutions. Give you another example. It can say x squared is, ladies and gentlemen, 40. And then you say, if x squared is 40, remember, x squared, and then you're going to say 40. So what does that mean about x? X is plus or minus square root of 40. Now, what do you guys know about this square root of 40? You have to simplify, is that right? Absolutely. So you get to simplify. So the square root of 40, remember this is largest perfect square that goes into 40 is 10. And this would be 2 square root of 10. So this radical is 2 square root of 10. Plus or minus. X is plus or minus 2 square root of 10. And again, we want to know what this means. Right? That means in one case it's what? Plus. And in the other case, it's what? Minus. Plus or minus. And you get 2 square root of 10 minus 2 square root of 10. So ladies and gentlemen, you got two solutions here as well. So these are the kind of things that you guys had on your test yesterday because you're going to use it today. Another example. X squared is negative what? 40. So compare and contrast, right? You did x squared as positive 40, and now this is x squared as what? Negative 40. So notice this. X squared, yes, it's equal to a number. It's negative 40. All right. So we're going to say now x is going to be now what? Plus or minus square root negative 40. So, okay, here we go. Plus or minus. What do you do with this radical? We get to what? Simplify. Square root negative 1 times 40. Square root of negative 1, square root of 40. All right, square root of negative 1. We simplified the radical here already for that 40. So this is what you would have had to do yesterday, right? And then you know this is going to be I, this is 2, this is square root of 10. Final answer is 2 square root of 10 because we always put the I in the back. Right here, this I. So here's what this means here. Let's put it all together. X is, let's read this, plus or minus 2 square root of 10 I, ladies and gentlemen. That's what that is. So I'm showing you guys some permutations of what you can see here. Now again, this means two things, right? It's two solutions. Plus or minus. So in one case, it's what? Plus. In the other case, it is what? Minus. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen, two solutions. There it is. Okay, so now you have the following. I'll give you another example. You say, what if they gave me 2x squared is 40. Okay, I want to point out to you guys here, you cannot use the square root formula now. You have to get x squared by itself. So what do you think you guys should do first to get x squared by itself? Outstanding. You're going to divide both sides by what? By 2. Outstanding. Good. And that gives you now x squared. What's 40 divided by 2? Is 20. Good. I'm glad you guys can see that. Good job. All right. And then you might say, okay, what do we do now? Use the what? Square root what? Yep, because notice what you have. You have that x squared equals 20. That's what the square root formula is used for. So you have the power 2 here, and then you have the what? 20. So x will be plus or minus square root of 20. Okay, so notice now, again, we have to simplify the radical. And then again, remember your plus or minus. So x will be plus or minus 2 square root of 5. Positive 2 square root of 5. X will be negative 2 square root of 5. So ladies and gentlemen, You have two solutions here. Okay? And you are done. You can put this in set notation. 2 square root of 5 minus 2 square root of 5. There you go. All right, you guys okay with that one? Okay, let's give you guys some more here. What if they give you now? You say, okay, they gave me x squared plus 8 equals 0. Okay, so how do we get x squared by itself? So we could use the square root formula. What do you guys think? Subtract the what? Yeah, subtract the 8, and you end up with x squared is going to be what? Negative 8. So you have x squared here, and the number is negative 8. What do you guys do with that? Plus or minus square root of negative 8. What do you think you'd do with this radical? You what? You simplify the radical. Square root of negative 8, what's this? Isn't that negative 1 times 8? Square root of negative 1. How do you simplify that square root of 8? 4 times 2. I2 square root of 2. So what is this, ladies and gentlemen? 2 square root of 2i. So plus or minus. So ladies and gentlemen, here's what x is. Plus or minus 2 square root of 2i, right? So remember what that means. It means x is positive in one case, and it means x is negative in the other case. There's two solutions, and notice that they are conjugate solutions. So notice you have here, don't ever forget, people do, that you have an I here, and it comes from that negative, square root of a negative 1. So just never forget that, ladies and gentlemen, that I's there. So you might say, oh, okay, x squared plus 8 gives you two complex solutions. Yes, it does. You guys okay with that? Anybody have any questions on that? So you're learning, what's the lesson for today? Square root formula, okay? Solve for x. We're going to call this number 1. Or actually, we're going to call this number, we already did 6, right? So I'm going to do something here. I'm going to call this 7. X squared plus 1 is 0. X squared, we'll do minus 1 and then plus 1. Number 9. X squared plus, how about this? No, we'll say x squared minus 5 equals 0. And then x squared plus 5 equals 0. How about this? 3x squared equals 24. Okay. And number 12. 2x squared is negative 16. Then we'll have 13. 4x squared minus 1 is 15. And then 14. 5x squared minus 6 is 26. All right, you're going to solve for what? For x. We're going to give you guys some time here. All right, let's see what you get. Try this out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's see what you guys did. What do you guys think? Did you guys get an answer here? Right, get x squared by itself. What do you do for number 7? You what? Add 1 to both sides. And what do you do for number 8? You subtract 1. So compare and contrast. You get x squared equal to positive 1. And then you get x squared equal to what? Negative 1. You guys okay with that? All right, good job. And now I'm going to say, what do you see? X squared. X squared. What does it equal? A number. Okay, what do you use? Square root formula. X plus or minus square root of 1. X plus or minus square root of negative 1. So over here, what do you do? Simplify. What's the square root of negative 1? You guys should know that. What's that? X is plus or minus what? I. Good. What about over here? What's the square root of 1? 1. So that means x here is plus or minus 1. So be careful here, ladies and gentlemen. In one case, the answer is 1, and then it's plus or minus 1. In the other case, it's plus or minus what? I. There's going to be 2. Here's 1. Here's 2. Here's 2 solutions. Two solutions, ladies and gentlemen. What are they? 1, negative 1, and then they're going to be what? I and what? Negative I. Here you go. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. 2 solutions. 1, negative 1. I, negative I. All right, you guys okay with that? Did you guys get these answers? What do you guys think? Is that easy? Let's see about these. These are some of my favorite. What do you do here to get x squared by itself? You what? Add 5 to both sides. What do you do over here? Subtract 5. What do you get now? X squared's positive 5. What do you get here? X squared's negative 5. All right, so in that case, what does x become here? Plus or minus square root of 5. I call this square root formula. So what I'll do is I'll say square root formula, use the square root formula so that you guys understand what I'm doing. X is plus or minus square root negative 5. Is that right? Do you need this colorized here? Do you need this to be green so you see that? Right? Do you guys see that there? No? What do you think? So what does this first one say? This means x is positive 5. And what is this? X is positive square root of 5 and negative square root of 5. 2 solutions. Square root of 5, negative what? Square root of 5. There you go. But what do you guys notice about this over here? What is that radical? You got to simplify it. How do you simplify this radical? Right? How did you simplify the square root of negative 5, ladies and gentlemen? Square root of what? Negative 1 times 5. Good. I square root of 5. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put this all together. Plus or minus square root of 5 with the I outside. You always put the I at the end. So be careful here because sometimes people don't do that. You put the I always at the end. I'm going to put this in red just to be consistent because we got to simplify that radical. So let's describe what this means. All right, I'm going to have to move everything down. Positive square root of 5i, and what's this? Negative square root of 5i. So we got the square root of 5i, comma, negative square root of 5i. There you go. Okay, divide both sides over here by what? By 3. Divide both sides over here by what? 2. We get cancellation. What does this say? What's 24 divided by 3? Isn't that positive 8? Okay, and what's negative 16 divided by 2? Negative 8. Wow, okay. Okay, now what do we use? Square root formula. Use the what? Square root formula. That means x will be plus or minus square root of 8, and this will be x is plus or minus square root of negative 8. So you have these numbers here. Okay, so how do we simplify the square root of 8? Square root of 4 times 2. Isn't that 2 square root of 2? And this is square root of what? I times 2 square root of 2. So ladies and gentlemen, this over here, 2 square root of 2. And then this over here, 2 square root of 2i. So make sure you have your i's here, right? Right? So final answer, we always put plus or what? Minus, okay? Don't forget that because there's 2 solutions. So over here, there's also 2 solutions. There's always 2 solutions. It's just this one has the variable I at the end. It's a complex solution. Right? We know what complex numbers are. We had a test on that yesterday. Applaud the test. So this means, again, 2 answers again, right? One's positive, and the other is going to be what? Negative. So you have 2 square root of 2. You got minus 2 square root of 2. And then here you have 2 square root of 2i. And then here you have a what? Minus 2 square root of 2i. So there's 2 solutions. $11, $12. All right, you guys see the arithmetic there? 2 solutions always 2 solutions, because you have the plus or minus. In one case is plus, the other case is minus. 1, 2. Plus or minus. One case is plus, the other is minus. Plus or minus. Now, how do we solve this one here, ladies and gentlemen? You add 1, is that right? And then you get what? 4x squared. 15 plus 1 is 16. Now you get to do what? Divide both sides by 4, so you get cancellation. And then you end up with, what's 16 divided by 4? Isn't that 4? So x squared, 16 divided by 4 is 4. So what is it? Now what do we say? Use the Square root formula, what does that give you? X is plus or minus, what's the number? 4. Do you guys know what the square root of 4 is? It's positive 2, isn't it? So that means X will be plus or minus 2. Again, there are two solutions. One is positive and the other is what? 2, negative 2. Two solutions, ladies and gentlemen. 1, 2, there we go, and it came here. What do you guys think? Okay, you guys okay with that? All right, well, I'm going to let you guys do the other one on your own, and I'm going to remind you that this is going to be, this is your homework, so I'm going to say try today 1 to 58. So we're going to say copy, and this is now homework 3. I know. What is this one? What's that? Yeah, I know. Homework 3. This is called the what? The square root. What's this? Formula. Bold. So I'm going to put it there, and I'm going to put, oh, I forgot to put again. Let's go back. Square root formula, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, square root formula. So what I'm going to do now here is this. I'm going to paste it again there for you guys so you guys can see it. Okay. And we have here some more kind of questions to do. If you said, boy, you didn't give us all of them, all the odds to do. Well, we will today. So let's go review here what we were talking about yesterday, right? So we have good morning to a lot of you guys here, and good morning to Jose. Good morning. Natalie just walked in the room. And the rest of you guys are here. Good for you guys. You're out of bed on a rainy day. Is it raining still? No, it's a nice day. All right. Remember, we're solving for x. What we're solving is quadratic equations. Right? And to give you an example for today, if they give you something like this, x plus 5 squared in parentheses equals maybe 9 now. We want to expand the square root formula. So if I go all the way back here, let me remind you guys here, this is the version of the square root formula we're going to have today. It's a little bit more general. Square root what? Formula. So if you have something to the second power equals a number here, right? Okay, so now you got a triangle here. You go, what's in my triangle? This is to the second power. See that second power here? So what do you guys think is in the triangle here? This is what I want you guys to see. And then this equals again, on the right side, it equals a number. Is that right? Then what does that mean here? You guys know what that means? That means your triangle here is plus or minus square root of n. So what you have here is plus or minus square root of n. So I want you guys to really emphasize this. Don't forget that that information is there. So this is what we're going to use today. You know, it's very similar to what you've seen yesterday. So remember, when is the best time for you guys to get started on your homework? Today. Is it the night before? No. And what happens if it's the night before? Then you're like, uh-oh, what did we do again? Right? You guys know what I'm saying? So, okay, let's do this here. I'm gonna copy this stuff here for you guys. So who do we have today? We got Jose, good morning. We got Daisy, good morning. Is Daisy here or outside? Anyway, so what do you guys think this means? How do I use this square root formula today? Right? What's under the radical here, or I should say, what's in your parentheses? You guys see what's in the parentheses? What's in the parentheses there? X plus 5. You guys see that here in the parentheses here? Parentheses are gone, is that right? So what happens now? This is going to be what? Plus or minus the square root of what number? 9, is that right? So double check here. This is what I mean here about this. Remember that list that's on the refrigerator? Is that still there? I hope that list is still there. Remember, I said this from the beginning. I said, you got to know how to take square roots, how to simplify radicals. You're going to see it over and over and over again. So you want to generate that perfect square list for yourself. And what's the square root of 9 going to be? That's now going to be what? 3. Is that true? So x plus 5 becomes plus or minus what number? Plus or minus 3. Okay, so far so good. Isn't this the square root formula? We just did what is right here. Okay, now we're trying to solve for x. We're trying to get x by itself. So what should we do now here with this, right? We have addition to 5 with x. You guys see how the x is here? How do I undo the addition of 5? What do we do? You're going to subtract 5 from both sides. So that now means you have x equals -5 plus or minus what number? Plus or minus 3. Is that right? No worries, Michelle. Okay, you guys okay with that? Now, I want to really emphasize this because this is important. So, you guys, what does this mean? What does that mean? That means x is, in one case, -5 plus 3, and in the other case, -5 minus 3. Okay, you guys okay with that one? Plus or minus means just that. Plus or what? Or minus. If you want, replace this here with the word or, because this is what this means. Plus or minus. So part of the course is knowing these definitions. So -5 plus 3. What's -5 plus 3? Isn't that -2? What's -5 minus 3? That's -8. Okay, so you have two answers now. What are the two answers? Right, if I had to put this, what's this known as if I put the brackets? Is that my set notation? So that's going to be what? -2 bless you, comma, -8. There you guys go. And there it is. So here's your two solutions here. -2, -8 are your two solutions. So you have the square root formula because what you can see here, these are all quadratic equations again. Okay, you guys remember some of this stuff from yesterday? It's back. And then what other things do we have from yesterday if I show you guys here? Notice this compare and contrast. They can give us x plus 5 squared is -9. Okay, notice again, you have x plus 5 in parentheses, right, to the second power. Now that's going to equal -9. Right? We are using, remember what I'm going to say here. I'm always going to use the what? Square root formula. And what does that mean? X plus 5 is plus or minus the square root of -9. So what is the square root of -9? You remember what you got to do here? This over here was part of your test. What should you know how to do? Simplify, evaluate, right? That was which was on your test. So you have the square root of what? -9 becomes -1 times 9, -1 square root of 9, I times 3. So this becomes 3i. So ladies and gentlemen, you have x plus 5 becomes plus or minus 3i. Okay, so notice you have this question. You always, if you have a negative number under a square root, it'll always be that I. Yes, when you simplify, you'll always have the I at the end. So remember this, ladies and gentlemen. This radical is always what? Square root of -1. What was that? That's always going to be your what? Your I here. Okay? Always, always, always. Now, we're trying to solve for x. How do I get rid of the addition of 5? You subtract 5, is that right? What do you get here? X becomes -5 plus or minus 3 what? I. Okay, now can I remind you guys this question here? Whenever you see the symbol here, maybe you want to see it bigger. What does this mean? What's the meaning of that symbol? Huh? Plus or minus, good. Outstanding. So in one case, it means to do what? You add x negative 5 plus 3i. And the other case, it means you what? Subtract. This is the plus, or this is or minus, right? You guys know that's your or. So you have two solutions again. Okay, remember you had homework on this. You say, what do you mean? This is why you're past. This is, you know why, ladies and gentlemen, I say to you guys, there's no late homework. Do you guys understand why I do that? Like, why would I ever do that? Isn't that a cruel thing to do to somebody? Say no late homework. Isn't that horrible? It's cruel. Yeah, Mr. Judge, he's mean. He's a mean Mr. Judge. Yeah, but I don't. Why is that? Do you guys really know? Because I expressed this to you guys before. Why would I not do it? You know what I'm talking about here, all the details that we're working on here? Trying to take the square root of a 9, trying to take the square root of a negative 9. And then what I'm going to talk about right here, you see these numbers here? Can you combine them? The answer is no, you can't combine them. So the reason I bring up no late homework in relation to what you're doing here is because if you're busy trying to do the last homework, what's going to happen with this current homework? You're behind and you're not even going to do it. Is that right? And then ultimately you're going to run out of what? Time. And then you're going to say what? You're going to say you're not going to do well in any of your tests because you're not up to date with your homework. So you're always behind. And what happens when the final exam comes, you go, oh, I ran out of time. So in other words, you put yourself in a position where you run out of what? Time to do anything. Does that make some sense to you? And that's what you want to avoid. So what happens is when some people go, oh yeah, that, instructor's great because late homework all day long, ultimately what's the deal is going to happen? People are not going to be able to do what they're supposed to do. And that's the reason. So like today, you have to know, hey, this is negative 5 plus 3i. I can't combine that term. This is negative 5 minus 3i. I can combine that term. We're looking at what's known as complex conjugates. So if you didn't get to that homework from everything that we're talking about, you're not able to do the homework for today. That's the reason. And then you get behind. So that's the reason. And what happens is if you now have to be put in a position where you have to make a decision, do I go out tonight and have some fun or do I do my homework? You're going to make that decision, hopefully. Not everybody does. You make that decision to do your homework because you go, oh, that mean Mr. Judge, he doesn't take any late homework. You guys know what I'm saying? Yeah, I better stay home and do my homework. That's the idea. That's the idea behind it. Because when you allow lateness for that stuff, they procrastinate. They go, I'm going to go out and have a good time. I can turn my homework in late. I don't even have to study. And then what happens? They mess up on a test. And they're like, I don't know what to do now. You guys see what I'm saying? So it is important to make your homework a priority in what you're doing. The second you do that, you're going to change your life. You're going to even know. You say, oh, I think I have to do some more tutoring or something, right? You're going to know. And that's important. What do you guys think? Is that kind of... See, I've been teaching this I've been teaching for a long time, so I know some of these details. And I used to be a student too. I used to do the same things. I used to be in that position where, I'm going to go hang out or something instead of doing my homework because I could turn it in anytime I want. You guys see what I mean? So you guys aren't alone. Mr. Judge used to do that. But the second he changed that in his life, you want to know what happened? His life changed. Yes. His life changed, ladies and gentlemen. I went from a kid who couldn't do algebra in high school to getting 100% on my math test. And isn't that crazy? That's crazy. So if you change your approach, what could you change? Your whole what? Life. And then you can start telling people, guess what? I can do this. Because I never would have thought in my life, I could never say to people, I can do this. Never. So take a look here. Parentheses to what power? See how I'm reading left to right? And then that equals, again, a number. What do I use? I even write this down. I use the what? Square root formula. What does that square root formula say? X minus 1 plus or minus square root of 8. So notice that I don't have a parentheses, and that's going to be a plus or minus square root. And what's under the radical? 8. And so you have to remember, because remember, we worked on this. You have to what? Simplify. But if you're busy saying, I'll get to that homework eventually, because you can take late homework, then you're not there. You can't do this now. So now the square root of 8 becomes, remember this, the largest perfect square that goes into 8 is a 4. Isn't that 2 square root of 2? X minus 1 is plus or minus 2 square root of 2. So add your 1 to both sides. What does this mean to say plus or minus? 1 plus 2 square root of 2. What is it? 1 minus 2 square root of 2. Can you combine these terms? No. Put your answer in set notation because sometimes they want you to write that as solution set. And notice this, again, you got irrational numbers, and they're called irrational conjugates. So one of the reasons why we talked about these numbers, irrational conjugates, is so that you guys can know what you're looking at as a solution. You can say, oh, those are conjugates, they're irrational. And then that shows up too, ladies and gentlemen. These problems show up. Aren't you guys excited? No. Being able to have some knowledge, being able to do this. Now when you take the next course, what's going to happen? You're going to be able to pass the next course. That's the whole idea. Yeah. That's the whole idea, ladies and gentlemen. It's not so you guys can do what? Right? Remember, it's not surviving for the second. Surviving forever. You ever hear that before? Forever? You know what it reminds me of? That phrase, forever. What's that baseball movie? What's that baseball movie with those kids? Any baseball fans in the room? Yes, thank you, Sandlot. Reminds me of Sandlot. Remember that? Forever. I'm going to try to... It's forever. That's pretty funny. Did you like that movie? It's probably another movie that came out when you guys were probably... You weren't even born yet. Sandlot came out, right? Like Pretty in Pink. You weren't even born yet, but you like that movie. You guys born when Sandlot came out? I don't know, Natalie. I'm trying to remember. I was in the theater. I was in the theater I seen that movie in the theater when it came out. Some of you guys are going to go, not me. I was born after that movie. Huh? It's a good teacher movie? A rainy day, they play it? It's a great movie. There's some really good movies out there that are fantastic. Yeah, I used to watch it a lot too. I'm going to say to you guys, I used to buy it on first. Oh, what was that first? I think I bought it on VHS. Don't laugh. Oh man, I don't even know what VHS is. And then I bought it on DVD. Now you have to buy it on Blu-ray and then 4K. Do they even have it in 4K? I don't know, because I don't know if they shot it in 4K. Anyway, isn't that interesting? Well, you know what's even crazier now? You get to stream it now. You don't have to buy it anymore. I think that's actually good, but what do you do with all the movies, on your Blu-ray? Yeah. You got VHS as well? Yeah, that's an old format. I used to watch that when I was in high school. Yeah. Yeah, that was a high school format for me. Sorry, you guys. Yeah, I know what you're gonna say. I was born after VHS. What came up before? What was around before VHS? Little old man trivia for you. Anybody know? There was something called Betamax. And actually, there was a competition between Betamax and VHS. VHS won out. I never had Beta. Same people did. They were all into Beta. They're like Beta people. Do you guys remember how to simplify the square root of -8? That was on your. If you don't remember, I suggest you do your homework again. That's what I used to do. Square root of -1, square root of 8. What's that -1 going to be? Good. Outstanding. And then square root of -8. Yeah. See all that? So this is really 2 square root of 2 with the I. So what happens now? This is going to be now what? Okay, now add your 1. X becomes 1 plus or minus 2 square root of 2i. So we're at that point where we have to know what this plus or minus means, right? That's part of the course. 1 plus 2 square root of 2i. What's the other one? 1 minus 2 square root of 2i. So you have 2. What kind of solutions are these? Do you guys know? They're complex what? Conjugates. Outstanding. So these are the 2 solutions. And then if they ask you to put it in set notation, I just want to let you guys know, here's the set notation, so that you guys are familiar with how to describe this. So ladies and gentlemen, there you go. Good job. There it is. That's how you go about this. All right, you guys okay with that? What do you guys think? Is that okay? Isn't this exactly like the stuff we were working with in the past and even yesterday? No? I don't know. Okay, let's ask you guys, what's your favorite movie? Fast and the Furious. Is that your favorite? Is that your favorite too? Fast and Furious? What's your favorite? Jurassic Park? The original? Nice. And you said you've seen that on what? VHS? Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else have a favorite movie? I know. The problem is, for me, there's no such thing as a favorite. There's no. You know what movie I watched that was pretty good recently? I shouldn't tell you guys. Well, it's okay if I do. It's not a weird movie. I mean, on Netflix, I watched that Uncut Gems. You ever see that one? That was insane. That was a crazy movie. Uncut Gems is crazy, huh? The whole time I was at the edge of my seat. Jeez. The guy was a mess, isn't it? Isn't everybody there a mess in that movie? If you guys watched it, no, you haven't seen it. Everybody was a mess in that movie. You guys seen it over there on the left side there? You guys seen it? What about the Bon Bon Crew? Super bad. Well, that's pretty good. Good morning, Karen. Friday the 13th is your. Ooh. Friday the 13th, Michelle. You know what, Michelle? I'll tell you something. I seen the original Friday the 13th at the drive-in with my mom. Back when it came out originally, I was at the drive-in with my mother. My mom took me to see that. I was probably like 5 or something. Huh? Yeah. Did you imagine your mom says, "Hey, let's go see Friday the 13th"? That was my mom. The original. I was so scared in that movie. I was terrified. Especially at the end. Right, Michelle? Wasn't the ending crazy? Friday the 13th. You know where I went not too long ago. It's kind of heartbreaking. Halloween. I used to go out to all those Halloween events, before COVID. And I think Paramount, what is that? Paramount Studios. They used to have their own Halloween, whatever that was. I forgot what they call it even. Or MGM out there, right? It's out in Burbank. The reason I bring that up, Michelle, is because one of their mazes, it's not even a maze. They shot some of the Friday the 13th there. And so there was the lake, and there was Jason running around, and we went through this cabin for part of where they shot the movie Friday the 13th. So I'm bringing it up. So it's kind of interesting. I remember I was like, wow, that was crazy. Karate Kid. Oh, Daisy, that's a great one. That's your favorite, Daisy? That's pretty good. What's this one? Forties Collector. Yeah, oh, well. Kick somewhat. Yeah. Anyway. That's amazing. Yeah, I remember I was crazy going through that whole thing. I know. But they don't have it ever since COVID. They don't have that Paramount Halloween, whatever that was. I don't know if you guys even know what I'm talking about. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? No. I forget the name of it. It's actually not bad. I think it was. It was kind of like it's different than the other one at Universal. The one they have at Universal is kind of interesting. Okay, gave you guys some time to try these out on your own. You guys can watch all your movies later after your homework's done. You guys ready to try this out? Okay. Here's Daisy. What's Daisy saying? Do you have class tomorrow or does spring? No, Daisy, tomorrow is Cesar Chavez Day. And what that means is the campus is closed starting tomorrow and then through spring break. So it would have been the most perfect time to plan a vacation. Ready for San Diego? Good. Who's going to San Diego? How many people? No? Where do you eat in San Diego? I'll tell you 2 places to go. All right. If you like ribs. Ribs. Ribs, yes. Rib from a pig. Okay, well, maybe not. You don't like ribs. You could also get beef ribs there, I think. Anyway, if you guys like ribs, I'll tell you where to go. Go to Phil's Barbecue. Phil's Barbecue is fantastic. I'll show you a picture maybe. If we have time, go out to Phil's Barbecue. Pretty good place. Barbecue there. Anyway, Daisy, yeah, this week, starting tomorrow, the campus is closed, so you don't have to show up. There won't be any class. It's Phil's Barbecue. It's like the In-N-Out of barbecue. You guys like In-N-Out? All right. You guys don't like carnitas? Carnitas?
Oh, wait a second. Yeah.
That's okay. Don't worry.
I don't understand Spanish.
You don't understand Spanish?
I do.
You do? Carnitas?
No, like what the other words.
What's the English phrase for carnitas? I don't know. Meat? No, it's pork. Pork, I guess. Is that the pork? No, isn't Puerco pork? Carnitas is like fried pork, right? You guys know what I mean? You guys don't like that? I do. I like carnitas. Sorry. I'm a carnita guy. I like them. I like it more than carne asada. But it depends on where you get it. It all depends on where you get it. King Taco, good carne asada. You guys know what I mean? I think I'm gonna try. I haven't tried the carnita burrito. I heard they're good. Down the street, you guys know, at the Azteca Tortilleria. I heard the carnita burrito was good. Anybody try that one there? No. Maybe we should have a field trip. The problem is it's it's too small. Yeah. Oh, you like the carnitas there, Luis? Huh. Gotta try it out there. You like them there? Are they good there? Are they really? Everybody goes there for the carnitas? I gotta double check that one. All right, Luis, I'm gonna double check that. My grandmother used to go there for the masa, for her tamales. Get x minus 4 plus or minus square root of 25. X minus 4 plus or minus square root of negative 25. Remember, what do you need to know? You need to simplify or evaluate. What is the square root of 25? This one's 5. Good. And what is this one? 5i, ladies and gentlemen. So compare and contrast, okay? Go through the process. I'm going to share that with you guys here. You guys, before you go have those carnita burritos at Cinco Puntos, try out some of these questions here, right? And again, what do? You add 4 to both sides here, and you get what? X is 4 plus or minus 5. You add 4, what do you get here? 4 plus or minus 5i. You guys okay with that? All right, you guys okay? So far, so good? We just have to know the meaning of what? Plus or minus, plus or minus. So, in one case, it's plus, and in the other case, it's what? Minus. What's 4 plus 5? What's 4 minus 5? Right? Nine comma negative 1. There you guys go. Okay, you guys see that there? Really good. The other one, though, you have to know whether you can combine your like terms. 4 plus 5i, you can't combine. 4 minus 5i, you can't combine. So you have 4 here plus 5i is 4 minus 5i. And there it is. There you go. So remember, there's a reason. Complex. I want you guys to do your homework now so you could be successful in the future. If you're trying to catch up on your homework and you go, oh, I'm going to try it one day, and it's going to catch up to you and you run out of time, So that's kind of my explanation for that stuff. So that's the reason. It's not because Mr. Judge has a mean streak in him. You go, oh my God, he's a mean guy, It's because I know that in the long run, what's best for you is to make sure you get started on everything now, not later. And that's the procrastinator's dream, right? Later, tomorrow. If you're going to get carnitas, when are you going to get them? Today, not tomorrow. Good. Sorry, we'll get carne asada instead. Okay, who likes chicken better? Maybe you don't like chicken, Natalie? Oh, you like it's better than chicken? In a burrito? Yeah, me too. Huh? You just like chicken by itself, right? You know what? That place Phil's Barbecue has good barbecue chicken too, though. I gotta tell you, it's in San Diego. Phil's Barbecue. I'll show you a picture if I have time. Yeah, Pollo Loco has carnitas now? Do they really? Are they any good? It's okay. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think, you know what I think has better chicken than Pollo Loco, though? Juan Pollo. I think that's better than Pollo Loco. Juan Pollo. Oh, they have, really? But is it the goat birria or is it the beef birria? Because there's two types. It might be the beef because I think that it would be a hard seller to sell goat. Some people like it, you know what I mean? But if it's a commercial kind of endeavor, like Pollo Loco, then it's probably the beef. Yeah, we did number 1 and 2. See that there? This is a complex solution because you have the square root there. Remember, if you have that negative sign, ultimately you're going to end up with the complex. Because with the square root formula, it's always plus or minus the square root of the number. Always, always, always plus or minus. Well, we do. We did it over here. Like see this plus or minus? In one case, it's plus, and in the other case, it's minus. Now, you have to do them separate. You can't do it at the same time. Oh, let's see. Yeah, it has video now. Huh, interesting. I got to look it up. Ray's Barbecue in Huntington Park. Rip Ray. Huh, interesting. Yeah, it's beef. Yeah, I think Daisy knows it's beef. So this one here, ladies and gentlemen, you know what? I didn't bring my breakfast or lunch. I guess that's why I'm thinking of food. I haven't had my breakfast yet. Same for you guys? You haven't had your breakfast yet? Yeah, me neither. Woody's barbecue? Huh. Woody's barbecue. So with these, you first have to do what? You first have to divide by those numbers. Now use the square root formula. X plus 3, remember, it's always whatever's there between that parentheses and the power 2. And you go, yes, always plus or minus. Now it's the square root of 3, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, and then over here, x plus 3 plus or minus the square root of what number? Negative 3. Now, what do you guys notice about these radicals here? The square root of 3 is already simplified, but the square root of negative 3 is not. Right? You have to write that as negative 1 times 3. Square root of negative 1, square root of 3. This is I times square root of 3. So in other words, we know this one is the square root of 3 with the I outside here next to it. So make sure we always put the I at the end. Okay, you guys okay with that? You see that one there? So the square root of 3, though, is already a simplified radical. So I got x plus 3, right, plus or minus the square root of 3. Subtract the 3 from both sides on the left, and you get negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 3. That means two things. Negative 3 plus the square root of 3. It means negative 3 minus the square root of 3. So it has two answers. Negative 3 plus square root of 3. Negative 3 minus what? Square root of 3. And you're done. There's two solutions here. All right, you guys okay with that one? And there you go. Now the other one, though, remember this. This is what you get. You get x plus 3 plus or minus the square root of 3 with the I. Okay. Now you get to subtract 3 from both sides. You get negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 3 with the I. And that means two things again. Negative 3 plus the square root of 3 with the I, and it means negative 3 minus the square root of 3 with the I. So in solution set notation, negative 3 plus the square root of 3i and negative 3 minus the square root of 3i. You get complex solutions, but be careful here. I always want to emphasize in purple, because sometimes when I actually grade tests with this, people forget to put the what? The I there. Yeah, they forget. So I want to make sure it's in purple so that it stands out. And in one place you get, in both cases, you're getting conjugates. One is irrational conjugates, the other is complex conjugates. All right, you guys okay with that? What do you think? If you're up to date with your homework, you should say easy, what? Easy peasy, fresh in, squeezy. I don't know what it is. I'm probably making it up. My daughter would get mad at me if I get it wrong. Easy peasy. What do you guys know what you have to do here? Notice what you got here. You got x minus 1. Sorry. You got x minus 1 to the second power. Is that right? So you know what I'm going to do? Subtract 2 and you get what? 4. What's 10 minus 2? 8. Now divide both sides by the 4, right? And you get x minus 2 squared is, what's 8 divided by 4? Isn't that 2? All right, so now remember you have this here. Square root formula. X minus 1 plus or minus square root of 2. Add 1 to both sides, you get 1 plus or minus square root of 2. So this means two things again. 1 plus the square root of 2, it means 1 what? Minus the square root of 2. There you go. We got two answers. Here they are. They're not complex. Irrational conjugates. Irrational conjugates. There you guys go for number what? 5. Did you guys get an answer for number 6? You guys get that one? Huh? How would you start this one? Same way. Divide both sides by -3. The exact same way. And now you end up with, if you cancel, x plus 5 squared becomes, what's a positive over a negative? 12 divided by -3 is what? -4. Is that true? What do you guys have to use now? Use the what? Square root formula. X plus 5 plus or minus square root of -4. So do you guys know how to evaluate this? Square root of -4, what do you do? -1 times 4. I times 2, isn't this? 2i. Remember, I always put this in purple to emphasize. Okay, so now all together, take a look. This is plus or minus 2i. All right, you guys okay with that one? Yeah, 1 doesn't sound too bad. What do you guys think? That doesn't sound bad. What do you guys do to get x by itself? Subtract your 5. You get -5 plus or minus 2i. -5 plus 2i. -5 minus what? 2i. And if they want us to list our solutions, we put it in a list. And again, oops, let me go back. These are 2 complex solutions. Two complex solutions, ladies and gentlemen. There it is. Here you go. Number 6. What do you guys think? Is that pretty good? So on your homework, if I go back and I say, okay, assignment number what? Homework 3. You know how I get to edit the square root formula? You know what I get to say? It's like do all the odds now. So you guys should be able to do the what now? All the odds, not... Oh, well, if you... Unless you're an A student with this, you shouldn't be what? Complaining. Yeah, do only 2. How's that? You guys know what I mean? No. Do you guys know what odds are? You guys know what odds are? Should I share? Because sometimes people don't know. They say, Mr. Judge, you use the word all and you use the word odds. I get confused. Do you mean all or do you mean odds? I mean all the odds. What does all the odds mean? 1, 3, 5. Good. You guys know what that means. Now, is homework designed to hurt you or is it designed to help you? There you go.